Hi YouTube, it's the Butler of Koku Island here. How are you today? How was your weekend? You'll notice that I'm a bit off schedule. Not a bit, I'm actually really off schedule. TLDR is I had planning issues. So I was supposed to have 2 episodes recorded for KawaiiCon and then have them post while I was away. But I didn't because I didn't plan well and I didn't have enough time. So that's on me. I apologize for that. Moving forward, I think I am going to be able to upload on a weekly basis. I mean, starting off is not that great because I'm recording again on a Wednesday and posting again on the Wednesday. But I did have my artworks, like the little draw with me situation thingy, done and ready to go since a while now. Like I just haven't done the recording part. Actually, no, that's a lie. I did record. I just did end up deleting it because I wasn't happy with it after listening back to it. And I decided to change the topic completely. So, I should have probably kept that for like, another day, but I ended up deleting it and it is what it is. So, yeah. Today's topic originally was going to be drawing on trend versus not following trend, because I feel like that was a thing that I saw a lot. And then when I listened to it, I think I was like, oh, you know what? Actually, I want to talk about more of my experience with being an original artist. If you haven't noticed, I am an original artist. And so I'm going to be going over why I chose this route and what my struggles are and what I've learned as an original artist of Koku Island. So to start off, I have 2 main characters, Kit and Dino. Kit is an orange cat, is an orange bicolored cat, and Dino is a marine iguana. I do want to address something, is that some people might think that Dino is a copy of Tokage from Sumiko. I would say that they are very similar in design, but they're completely different characters. Dino has his own personality. He does his own thing. Not only that, but they do have like design differences and stuff like that. So that's something I wanted to address, but I recognize that they are very similar characters. I know there's going to be people out there that go like, I already know that. So this is me telling you I'm aware, but Dino is actually a marine iguana, and marine iguanas are one of my favorite characters. If anything, Dino, to me, like the only reason why I like marine iguanas so much is because I love Godzilla, and Godzilla was, in one of the iterations of Godzilla, was inspired by the marine iguana, which is exclusive to the Galapagos Islands, which is what more than half the inspiration of Koku Island is. So that's the inspiration behind Dino. And Kit is actually more of a sad story. Or at least not sad, but like a damn, that's a missed opportunity. But Kit is an orange cat, as you guys know, and my partner and I really wanted to adopt this cat, and it was an orange cat, bicolored cat, from a local cat like cafe that we have. But when we went up to the person for the adoption papers, they're like, oh, sorry, Kurt's actually up for like pending for adoption already. And I'm like, oh, damn, really? And it was just sad. So I was like, okay, well, you know what? It's fine. It is what it is. And on the day that I decided to have my own characters, because remember, when I first started off, I did like random characters, or like random cats and stuff like that. I was just like, okay, what's one thing I really want to stick to? Not gonna lie, my favorite cat is Tofu, my calico cat. Drawing calico cats are very difficult, but I also felt like I didn't want Kit to be like Tofu, and I didn't want Tofu to be like Kit. I wanted it to be separate things. So that's why I was like, you know what? I'll draw Kit. And Kit's a really like, Kit's a a bit of a menace and a bit like, orange cat behavior. So I didn't want people, like, I didn't want to put that type of personality onto the Calico Cat on Coco Island. So I was like, hey, I think since I can't have Kurt, I'll have Kit. So I can have Kurt live through Kit. So it's almost like I adopted Kurt, but not really. And that's the inspiration behind Kit and Dino. Everyone else is because I really love lizards. Man, I really want a lizard so badly. Like, off topic, I really want a leopard gecko. Like, so badly. I want so many geckos. A giant day gecko. I know that they're display geckos, just where you look at them. But damn, they're so cute. Anyways, so that's the inspiration. And I wanted different colored versions of Dino, so that's why Blossom is here. And then there's Tsuki, which is my favorite, like, sea creature. I love whale sharks. They are so cute. They are, like, so majestic and just nothing against like humpback whales, but they're not, okay, not gonna lie, humpback whales, when you look at them up close, they're kind of ugly. So that's why I love whale sharks so much. And just the drawing of a whale shark is so cute. So those are the inspirations behind why, or like the creations of my characters. And another reason why I decided to go the original art method is because I have a tendency on focusing on the realism of things. And when I say that, I don't mean how should I say this? It's like, maybe not realism. Realism maybe is not the right word, but I always try to perfect things. And that being said, it's not that, like, I need everything perfect, because Coco Island is not perfect. Like, my art is not perfect. But it makes me doubt my skills even more if I were to do fan art. Because then I'm constantly comparing myself to the original art, and I'll be like, hey, is this the right ratio? Is this the correct blah blah blah? Is this, XYZ? I also hate drawing people. Like, I don't like the human anatomy. I like nubbins. So I feel like, yes, there's a lot of fan art that's not nubbins, but it's just like, again, I would need to compare myself, or I feel like I need to compare myself, so I don't want to do that route. And I also don't think that I like any particular franchise enough to want to do fan art. So that's one of the biggest things. Like, if I don't like something enough, I'm not going to want to draw it. Whereas I really love cats, and I really, 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 really love lizards. Sometimes I feel like I like lizards more than I like cats, but that's an ongoing debate that I have internally. So yeah. And on top of that, like, I feel like people don't give fan artists, like, yes, original artists should get credit. Fan artists, I also think, should get a lot of credit, because their competition, in my perspective, okay, these are all just my opinions, okay, these are all subjective opinions, not objectively. In my opinion, fan artists, if they make it, that people love them for their art, because the fan art industry is so saturated. Like, I don't have the time and energy to compete in a competition like that. So that's like one of the biggest reasons why I decided to not go that route and to do my own art. But that being said, it doesn't mean that I don't have struggles. I definitely do. And those struggles are relatability. Like, people look at my stuff and they can't really relate to it, because which makes it harder to sell because like you see this character and you're like, what the heck is that? There are so many people, there's so many people that have looked at not Dinosaur, sorry. My plushie is nicknamed Dinosaur, so that's why Dino is Dino. Anyways, there are so many people who look at Dino and go like, is that a fish? And I'm like, bro. Like just, bro. Like when people don't know what my art is, that's my fault because I didn't express it well enough. But at the same time, like I don't want to, like if I like the way he looks, I don't want to change it and whatever. But yeah, anyways, if it's not easily understood, then I run into the risk of it not selling. So for example, Blossom. Nobody knows what Blossom is. They think that she's a pink blob or a pink fish, I guess. And they go like, what's that? And then, or sometimes they just go like, oh, I don't know what that is. I'm not going to bother asking or buying it. So it's hard. It's like really hard to try to get people's attention, in my opinion, or like from what I've experienced. And it heavily relies on you being able to create a story with your original art. Like, yes, anyone can create any character. Like, a kid can create a character, put a name to it, and blah, blah. But if you don't, in like the business side of things, if you don't add sustenance or context or like feed it with stories and stuff, it's very hard for people to get emotionally attached to some things. And that's one of my biggest struggles, is that if I am in not just a creative block in terms of the art aspect of things, but the story writing, then my characters are very flat. And I don't mean like 2D flat, because that's it's true, they are 2D, but I mean like they don't have any depth to them. They don't have any wow factor to them. So that's one of my struggles. And I might have mentioned this before, but it's also hard being an artist or original artist, because for me, at least, because people have criticized me before and compared me to existing franchises, and that really hurts. Like, when people look at me, I remember this one comment where someone was like, oh yeah, your stuff could have been good if it was like Bugcat, where they have stories and stuff. And I was like, bro, I was demoralized. I stopped going to cons. Like, call me sensitive or whatever, but like, yeah, it was rough. And I realized that it's not going to stop. The comparison is never going to stop. It happens in the fan art industry. It happens in any industry that you're in. Comparisons are always going to happen. For me, it just hurts a lot more because I have created these things from scratch, and having them compared to a big company is like pretty, in my perspective, pretty rough. And it causes me to compare myself to others on a regular basis. I find myself even comparing like how well I've grown, how big I've grown, to how slow my growth is to fan artists, even though for completely different things. Like, if you're an original artist, I think it's a really bad idea for you to compare yourself to a fan artist, because those are apples and oranges here. And today I'm not talking about original art versus fan art. I'm just talking about like the straight facts of like, you cannot compare that, because it's just they're completely different topics. So like, yes, you can compare it, but then in this particular thing that I'm talking about, I can't compare. Like, I shouldn't, because it makes no sense to compare apples and oranges. If I compared my original artist or my original art versus someone else's original art and like their story writing, then yeah, then that's at least like on equal footing, like, you know what I mean? And so that's what I do. I go like, oh man, this original artist has so much story. Their character has a name. Okay, so not just like character has a name, but like when you read the stories, they're not explicitly telling you like, oh, Dino's a really shy character, a Kit's like a menace. Like, you read their stories and you see that they like you can kind of draw to your own conclusions about their personality. Like it's kind of like explaining how a friend is. Like their personality is XYZ. I can't do that with Koku Island. I've not yet reached there, and I've realized that that's a big mistake that I have made, and I should have started a lot sooner. Like nowadays, people understand that, or people can see that Dino is the more caring character, and Kit's more of like a storm cloud that blows through and just destroys things, not intentionally, but like, you know, she's a troublemaker, and people can kind of see that now. But I don't have enough stories where she does that, so that's something I want to change, and that's something that I've learned, which segues going into what I've learned as an original artist and the things that I actually appreciate, because not all things are bad. I actually have a lot of wins that I wanted to go over, and those are when people buy my stuff, it actually feels really good because they're buying a character that I created from scratch. Like, if it wasn't for me, these characters, if it, in a literal sense, I'm not talking about different dimensions or timelines. Like, if it wasn't for me, these characters would not have existed. So the fact that these people buy from me makes me feel extra like, whoa, I am warm fuzzies, you know? So it just, people showing genuine interest in my art really makes my day. So when people go like, oh, your characters are so cute, I might not respond well. Like, I might just go like, oh, thanks. Because I'm really shy and I don't know what to say to you. So I apologize for, you know, just saying, oh, thanks. And I don't say anything else. It's because I'm exploding on the inside when you say that. And a lot of times at cons, my husband would be the one that's sitting in the front and I'm sitting on the side and I'm eating or whatever. And then I hear people go like, oh, I really like your art. It's so cute. But they're saying it to him. And then he would go like, oh yeah, no, my wife is the artist. I don't peek my head out. I mean, sometimes I will, but then a lot of times he goes like, she's really shy. Sorry. But like, I will try to, when he says that, I'll go like, hi, but like my mouth might be full of food, but like right now I'm getting a little flustered thinking about that situation. So that's how shy I am. So when I go to cons, I kind of explode, but I can't show it. So yeah. And again, one thing that I learned is you cannot compare yourself to fan artists. And that's something that I've noticed that a lot of like original artists do for some reason. Not for some reason, like we all do it. Like it's a common thing to compare yourself. I mean, it's not good to compare yourself to anyone anyways, other than yourself. Like if you want to, my advice is if you want to compare yourself, at least try to just compare yourself to 6 months ago you. Like that made no sense. Sorry. Try to compare yourself. Try to compare to this you from 6 months ago. I think that's the healthiest way of doing it. So yeah. That's what I think. It like you will be so amazed by how much you've grown. I look at like old drawings of Kit and Dino and I'm like, whoa, what the fuck is that? Like, and I look at the fact that like they now actually have stories and they have outfits, they have all these like things, like they've really changed. And just even like comparing myself to maybe a few weeks ago, I'm like, oh wow, no, yeah, things are slowly growing. And I think that that's what you need to appreciate about being a fan artist, is that you don't give yourself enough credit. Like you're building something from scratch. No one else can do it but you. So give yourself a pat on the back because you did it. Whatever you create, and that includes fan artists and any other artists out there, without you, the product that you made would not have existed. So give yourself a pat on the back. That being said, something that I really learned, which is daunting at the same time amazing, is that the only limitation is yourself. Like you have the power to design anything that you want to do. And I'm not talking about manufacturing things. I'm talking about just creating the art aspect of the stuff, like the story writing, the character design. You can do that. The only limitation is yourself. That means the world is your oyster. Kind of like that really cheesy thing, but it's true. It really is true. And not gonna lie, story writing has helped me with a lot of product creation. Like if I'm in a creative block for art, I always resort to writing a mini story about them. And I'm like, oh yeah, I can draw them like in this situation or whatever. So that's something that maybe could help you if you're in a creative block. And that's something that you should really enjoy doing if you're an original artist. Just being, as creative as you can be. The limitation is only yourself, and you don't have to create products. You can just create a character and talk about it, share about it. Maybe your character talks to you. Maybe your character talks to other characters. Who knows? But that's my experience of being an original artist. It's very fulfilling. It's exhausting. But at the end of the day, I have to remind myself, like, none of this would exist if it wasn't for me. And therefore, you should give yourself a lot more credit than I think you do. Because I know I don't give myself enough credit, or at least I've been told. So that's what I'm working on. And yeah, that's my blurb for this week. I hope you had a good time. I hope you took away some stuff from this chat. If you did enjoy this video, please give it a like and subscribe. Or just comment, what you have learned as an artist, or what you have learned when comparing yourself to yourself, not others, from, 6 months ago or something, And have a good rest of your day. Bye.